This book is wow. Like, the end of this book had me screaming, no, say it's not true. Can some of you writers just pity some of us with fragile hearts? Like, do you know how invested we are in some of these stories? Like, this, I mean, it was, I need a moment, okay? I just need a moment. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you've not done so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a thing. Today I'm excited to be discussing this book with you guys. It's called Stay With Me. It's written by Ayobami, Adebayo, and man, oh man, this book is, I don't even know where to start from. It is just so amazing. Like, even talking about it now, I feel like my pulse is racing. Like, I'm just getting excited all over again. Like, geez. So this review is going to be spoiler free, in that I am going to make sure as much as possible that I do not give any spoilers. It's not even I'm going to make sure, I'm going to ensure, like, it's going to happen. There are no spoilers, because I just feel like this book is so beautiful and everybody just needs to experience it for themselves. Like, shout out to Rabi, who gave me this book to read, I think since last year. She has been so patient. We discussed it the other day. So kind of her. I'm so excited I finally got around to reading it. And shout out to Sheung, who has read this book since, and when she told me, when she knew I was going to read it, she didn't give me any spoilers. Anyway, she knows that I don't like spoilers, so if she tells me to read a book, she wouldn't give me any spoilers, and I'm not going to do the same for you, because the experience I had reading it, I need you guys to experience it for yourself. So if you see anybody doing any review and it has spoilers, don't watch it if you know that you want a lovely experience. So let's get into this book. The book is written by Ayobami Adebayo, and she holds a BA and an MA in Literature and English from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ife. She also has an MA in Creative Writing from the University of East Anglia, where she was awarded an international bursary for creative writing. She has been the recipient of fellowships and residencies from Ledig House, Hedgebrook, and a couple of other places as well. She's such a phenomenal writer. I'm going to read out the synopsis. Yejide is hoping for a miracle for a child. It is all her husband wants, all her mother-in-law wants, and she has tried everything: outdoors pilgrimages, medical consultations, dances with prophets, appeals to God. But when her in-laws insist upon a new wife, it is too much for Yejide to bear. It will lead to jealousy, betrayal, and despair. Unraveling against the social and political turbulence of 80s Nigeria, Stay With Me sings with the voices, colors, joys, and fears of the time. This is a devastating story of the fragility of married love, the undoing of family, the wretchedness of grief, and the all-consuming bonds of motherhood. Stay With Me is a tale about our desperate attempts to save ourselves and those we love from heartbreak. Wow. Honestly, I think this is one of the first synopses that I've seen that actually captures a book well without giving away any spoilers. How do I now even tell you what the plot is about without giving away any spoilers? I don't know if I'm going to go so deep into it. So anyway, the plot, as you've heard, is about a woman who is desperately trying to have a baby, and she's married to some guy, and the things that they go through in trying to have that baby, because you know the mother-in-law is putting pressure. And these are things that we see in the Nigerian society or African society at large: pressure to have children, pressure to get married. And so the plot is one that captures her journey, Yojide's journey, from when she gets married to the guy and all the different things that they have to go to just so that she can experience motherhood, right? And they've been married for 4 years, they haven't had any kids, so it just captures her journey all through. Now, I love the fact that the plot is so fast-paced and it is engaging from the get-go. You're trying to, I know that at the beginning of the book, for the first few pages, I was trying to place who is who, where is where, and it's like a movie. Like, when you're introduced to the opening character or the opening scenes, you're trying to place, okay, where is this, what's going on here? And I loved it. It was beautiful, like the opening scenes, then heading straight onto the major story. There was no time wasting. I felt that the plot was very engaging and she did an amazing job. Now, the plot twist, the plot twist in this book, like, it's been such a while since I read a book that had, you know, there's usually one grand plot twist in some maybe suspenseful thriller kind of novels, but when you have like 3 or 4 embedded in one book, man, she did a fantastic job with those plot twists, and I really must commend her for that. There are some things that I read in this book and I'll be like, what? I'll have to drop the book, walk around my room. I'm like, no, 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 this is not true. Come back to read it. In fact, sometimes I fling the book away. I'm like, oh my goodness, I just need to, and then I'll run after it. Come back, don't leave me. And then I continue reading the book. Like, it's always a dramatic thing when I'm reading books. Honestly, I don't even know where this thing comes from. So let's talk about the setting of the book. The book is set in Ijesha and some parts of Jos, but I think mostly in Ijesha, and it's set in the 1980s in Nigeria, and then some early parts of 2000, like 2008, right? And I think that from the book you're able to see some depictions, like the use of letters and things like that that were prevalent in the 80s in Nigeria. And I think the author also tried to make the book sound more 80s Nigeria by including some socio-political and, you know, economic things that were going on in Nigeria as at that time. But I think that in terms of the setting, she did a good job. It was familiar being that it was in Nigeria and I could relate, so it was really, really lovely. Now let's talk about the writing style. Okay, so I loved the point of view technique that the author used for the woman and her husband. The main protagonist, her name is Yejide, and then her husband. But her husband is like not really the main protagonist. He's also a protagonist, and the book is sort of split into 3 parts, but then each part of the book examines different things in their lives. So you have first person point of view of the wife's perspective, and then first person point of view of the husband's perspective. And I think that she did a phenomenal job. I know that there were chapters that I started when I couldn't tell who exactly was talking from this chapter, but as you go down, maybe the second paragraph or third paragraph, you're like, okay, yes, this is the husband, okay, yes, this is the wife, and then you immediately know what time frame it is. And I think that she did such a great job in terms of not making the book so chronological, right? So there was you go to the 80s, then you come back to 2008, you go to the 80s again, come back. It's like a movie, like you're following, like, okay, this is what happened in the past, then in the future now, and then it ends up in this culmination of a mixture of how the past relates to the future. It was seamless. Like, she didn't even, it seemed so effortless to me. It's like, other than if you write a book and the whole thing is chronological and it culminates up onto one particular point at the end, this one, she had 2 different time frames, and she would go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until it eventually culminated into the grand finale of the book, which, like I said, was absolutely mind-blowing. So I must definitely commend her on her writing style. It was simple, it was easy to engage. I know that she made use of some of the Yoruba language and some folklore from Yoruba ancestry. I would have preferred if she had actually gone a lot more further to include more Yoruba language in some of the dialogue that was going on, especially for older characters in the book that clearly could not speak English. I felt like they could have been expressed in Yoruba, and then, you know, the way writers do it, where they don't tell you what the person is saying, but from the dialogue you can understand what that person is saying. I hope that maybe in her future books, where she does anything like that, a lot of Yoruba language would be explored, because it's such a beautiful language with such beautiful ancestry and folk tales and stuff like that. So I really, really appreciated her writing style on this one. So in terms of the themes of this book, I typically go into themes when I'm reviewing books, but I'm not going to go in depth into the themes of this book, because there is no way that I'm going to go into them without going to go and talk too much, and then before you know it. But you know, I've already promised you guys it is a spoiler-free review, so you're going to have an idea of what the book is about, and you're going to want to read it, but I'm not going to tell you. I can't even deprive you of such I can't even deprive you of such an experience, because this is just too nice. Okay, so in terms of the themes, right, I'm not going to particularly say any themes. I'm just going to tell you what type of thoughts they invoked in me. I feel like, and I wrote some of them down, I feel like the themes made me ponder on certain things like love, and really what is the definition and expression of love. From the synopsis, you could tell that, you see, it's like it tells a tale about our desperate attempts to save ourselves from and those we love from heartbreak. Like, how far are you willing to go to save your family member, your wife, your husband from being heartbroken? How far are you willing to go to do something for your other half, whether it's a sibling or a friend or your spouse, just so that they can be happy? How far are you willing to go? It evoked such thoughts in me, even in terms of societal pressures to have children. How far women are willing to go just so that they can have children, not necessarily because they want it at that point, but because there's so much pressure, and it's always from the in-laws most of the time. In-laws, please, we need to do better. Anyway, and then sometimes even their own parents giving so much pressure, like, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids? You have the first one. When are you going to have the second one? You have the second one. When are you going to have 4 more? You have 3 girls. When are you going to have a boy? You have 2 boys. When are you going to have a girl? You have 7 boys, 7 girls. I know that you have 14 children, but a 15th one won't be bad. And they're not paying the school fees, they're not looking care of you. Like, it's never enough, and the pressure can really hit hard on women. And this book really showed, man, it was, oh man, like, it was, I need to control myself because this is just too much. Anyway, so another thing that I thought about was, you know, even learning not to judge. I think that was a major theme that was explored. You know, looking at this book, there are things that you might notice and read and say, oh, this one is just too extra, I can never do this, haba. But then it's like you never really know how you react to a situation until you're in it. And I feel like when you see other people going through things, if you don't understand, it's okay for you to say you don't understand. Don't be telling people like, oh, don't worry, this will happen, or quote some religious or scriptural quotes just to try to make the person feel better or feel good. Like, if you don't understand what they're going through, it's fine. You can just be there for the person, and you don't need to say anything that will make the person feel worse, because you don't know how they're feeling. And you see, I'm trying so hard not to say too much so that I don't give too much away, but I think that these were some of the things that I thought about while I was reading the book. All in all, I thought that this book was such an amazing effort. It seemed so effortless, but I can commend the writer for the creativity, the originality, and just the way she was able to put together different parts of the book. Beautiful writing, intentional about everything. What is one thing that I think could have been done better? One thing I didn't really like, I think that the socio-political history that was sort of surrounding the book, it didn't really do it for me. I feel like it was not necessary. It could have been kept out. I know that there was one particular scene in the book that was so major, and the fact that the socio-political history of Nigeria was introduced into the book actually played a huge role in one of the latter scenes in the book, right? But then at the same time, I felt like it didn't have a total merger. I just felt like there were some parts that could have been tossed out because it wasn't really necessary. If you wanted to put that socio-political history, then there could have been more of a merger of what was going on at that time so that we could see things. But to me, it wasn't really necessary. I think that the book was already solid on its own. But all in all, she did a phenomenal job. I'm so glad I read this book. It has really changed my perspective on a lot of things, or rather given me a broader perspective on different things that I used to look at before. And let's not talk about how my heart has been racing, or I was running up and down, or I was like, what? The ending of this book, you guys, hey gosh. See, if you've watched any movie or you've read a lot of books, by the time you're getting to the ending of this book, you'll be like, no, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Stop it. Stop. No. Like, this was how I was holding the book. I was like, no. Because I didn't want to look at it. And I don't know why she did that, but it was beautiful. It was marvelous. I would definitely rate this book a strong 9 over 10 because the effort was just commendable. Everybody who has read the book, and when they saw that I had finished it and I was exclaiming, people were messaging me and saying, Toshe, you see the book, like, it's so lovely. If you're looking for a nice, I was going to say relaxing, but I don't really know whether it's relaxing, Sha. Let's just call it entertaining and, you know, deep book that is filled with real life, realistic societal themes in it, then you definitely want to pick up this book. If you're looking for something that the writing is amazing, plot twist, you know, an ending that you don't expect from the book, then this book is for you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you've read this book and you loved it or you didn't like it, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments. If you haven't read it but you plan to do so, let me know as well, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.